Hello and welcome to the Bandwagon Podcast. I'm your host Charlie Cooper and my guest this episode is the one and only Chesney Hawkes. Chesney and I talk about his amazing career, his upcoming tours and releases, our mutual love of West Ham United and the changes in the music industry that he's experienced. Chesney, thanks for joining me. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, very busy right now. It's crazy right now for me.
You've got a lot going on, haven't you?
I have. I just finished campaigns for 2 singles at the end of last year. And, oh, hello, doggy.
Yeah,
Is that
sorry
yours?
about that. Ernie, quiet.
Ernie, jeez, Ernie.
Yeah.
Dad's recording.
Exactly. Yeah, you think he was a Rottweiler. He's a Dachshund. But you think that bark, you think he was a lot bigger.
Exactly.
Sorry.
He sounds scarier than he actually is.
Exactly. Do continue. I apologise.
No. So did those couple of singles. They went really well. It's kind of crazy. I actually had another couple of hits, which I mean, I didn't expect that. This year's hit the ground running. I've got another single coming out next week. Followed by I'm going on tour with James Blunt for a month, and then I've got my album coming out, and then I'm going on tour myself. So yeah,
absolutely,
that's me done
incredible.
For the year.
Yeah, not just a little bit going on then, eh?
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah.
No, it's really cool to have you here. I mean, it's funny. One of the things I promised my mum and dad that I'd say to you when I was a kid. I was like a baby. They would call me Chaz and then Chesney, and then they started calling me Chesney Hawkes was my nickname when I was a baby. So I had to get that in and let you know about that.
That's brilliant. Yeah, it's so good. And I just saw Ernie make a little appearance in the back there behind you.
He's
hello,
around.
Mate. Hello, Ernie. Ernie, come on, Ernie. I would bring mine in, but they're on the other side of the house. So.
That's not that. Yeah, that'd definitely take a bit of the time I pay. But yeah, I mean, it's really one of the things I really wanted to speak to you about because it's mind blowing. You had, and you've probably spoken about this a lot, so I apologise, but you had your first hit with One and Only. You were really young, weren't you? You were 19, were you?
Yeah, I just turned 19. Yeah. Yeah.
What was that experience like at 19? It must have been pretty insane.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, as you probably imagine. I mean, I grew up in a rock and roll household, so my dad was kind of, had his own fame, and his dad's friends were all, 60s rockers and things like that. So I kind of grew up around fame. So it wasn't kind of weird when it happened, but there's nothing that can really, I don't know, get you ready for that kind of level of fame, nothing that can prepare you for it. So yeah, it was wild. It was like living in the kind of eye of a storm, you know what I mean? Yeah. So you kind of throw yourself into the storm and you get sucked up into it, goes up into crazy places, and it's mad, and you're not in the real world, if you know what I mean. And then suddenly you just kind of like get sucked back into the eye for a little bit, and you're like, bloody hell, what happened there? And then you get stuck back in again. It's pretty crazy.
And is it something you ever get used to?
Well, if you don't, then the alternative is not an option.
Sure.
You know what I mean? If it's something that you don't want, and you fight against it, the trouble is that, the boat has sailed. People know who you are now, so yeah, you can't like turn back the clock and say, oh, actually I don't want to be famous anymore. No. It's like it's too late, so
can everyone just pretend that never happened?
I just want a mulligan. Yeah, please. Yeah, I changed my mind. But it's been 34 years this year. Next month, actually, it'll be 34 years since the release of that single. Wow. Yeah, I mean, of course, it's this. There's more. I've been famous for longer than I haven't been. I wasn't famous, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's really puts it in perspective when you put it like that. Actually, wow. Yeah. So when you're now the way you approach things now, you've had the experience, you've got you've got those things to reflect on. What have you noticed? What are the biggest changes you've noticed in the music industry from when you started to now? And I mean, there's so many things we could talk about. So I mean, just the I mean, streaming for one. But what is the main key things where you're like, this wasn't even a thing to be thought of when I mean,
to be quite honest, when I first put records out, the internet wasn't even here.
Mm,
So, I mean, just that alone has kind of seismically changed the whole industry. Obviously, you mentioned streaming, but really, the streaming side of it has changed everything because right, financially, putting records out back in the day was actually quite rewarding.
mm.
These days, it's not unless you have like a massive hit and you can kind of you can't make any money out of streaming unless you're like an Ed Sheeran or Adele
Taylor
or something like
Swift, or
that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that side of things has changed a lot. It used to be a very different landscape. But things like social media has changed everything. Back in the day, obviously there was no such thing as social media, and we just turned up to places and hope that people were there.
Mm,
It was
yeah.
you couldn't even mobile phones. We didn't even have mobile phones. God, I sound so old right now. But it's true. Social media, I can now like direct message any of my fans if I want to, or
Yeah.
they can direct message me, and I do actually answer my messages. I really do.
Oh,
You know,
fantastic.
that mechanism and that kind of you know platform to have is something that I think people in the 80s and 90s would have just like died for, it
Yeah, of
was
course.
because it's direct to consumer. So yeah, so many things have changed over the years, and I mean, it was just a very different world back then.
Mm,
I think it was a little more innocent.
yeah.
Um, I just feel like the time it's a lot faster now. There's more people putting music out because you can, and that's one good thing. For me, I like that actually. It gives everybody a chance and an option and a platform. Because when I was a kid, the only way you could really get a record deal, any kind of chance of success in the music industry is to get a record deal,
Of course. Yeah, yeah. And
and
that,
that's
that
not the
game's totally changed, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah, and it's not like that anymore at all. If you are savvy at all, on the internet and you're good with that stuff, you can actually build a whole career from your bedroom if you wanted
Absolutely.
to. That's not something that was
Yeah.
around when I was a kid.
Well, I had a couple of weeks ago, Silky Hookins from Deaf Guitar Pop, the ska band, on. They're completely DIY, and they've been doing. They had a top 40 DIY. They've played the Shepherd's Bush Empire. All of these like really things that you would only really associate, like you say, from having a record deal.
Mm.
They've done without, and in many ways, I suppose, record deals aren't what they used to be.
You know.
They're better off in a lot of ways.
Well, because you don't give up the rights, you see.
No,
So if you've made a record and you want to keep the rights, then you have to pay for it to come out. You got to pay for promotion or cleverly do it without
mm,
trying to pay it without trying to kind of part with too much money. But yeah, I mean you can do that now, and of course there's more reward if you own the rights.
of course,
Because if you sign a record deal, you sign away your life, basically. You
sure.
sign away your art and anything that comes with it. So yeah, of course, there are a lot of artists now, including myself, that are independent
Yeah,
and doing it all ourselves, which is, it's more in your hands.
yeah,
I
yeah.
quite like that about it.
Something you said there about being able to message your fan base directly and have that interaction. You've always had a real strong like cult following of people that sort of turn up to see you each year you tour. What's your relationship like with your fans? Are there ones that you sort of get to know on a more regular basis? Are there ones that sort of go, yeah, they'll be at that gig because I put there, or is it kind of are the veins a bit too big for it to be a bit like that, to be like that?
No, no, you're absolutely right. I have so many people in my life that were started off as fans.
Yeah,
Yeah, I actually, I have a habit of becoming friends with my fans.
it's amazing. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
and I love it. I really do. There's so many, and also it makes it really like fun to kind of travel around the country, and you're like, oh, I can go and see Haley there, or I can go and see Fiona over there, and oh
Yeah,
yeah, God, I haven't seen Dan for years. He's in Liverpool, whatever. You know what I mean? So
yeah, yeah. It's so cool.
um, it is actually really nice, and you know that those people that have been there from the beginning are gonna kind of help because they love me and they love what I do, and it's like they're gonna kind of tell their friends, oh, Chesney's playing at blah blah in Leeds, you should come along. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's kind of like a little family.
yeah,
Really, that fan base, those really close fans that I've known for a long time. It really is like a little family.
yeah. I think that's such a such a real thing. And some of the people, you know, I have people on this on the show. Some of them are literally just my friends on the music scene in Crawley. Some of them have been producers, and some of them have been people with like yourselves with a bit more of a profile, a bit of a bigger following. And what's everyone says in common is what it does for your social life is incredible when you're doing music. It's like I had just did a pub on Saturday night. And 3 lads that I went to school with, one of them we were best men at each other's weddings, come, and you know they're all sort of banter with them as it go, and it made the night a lot better. And knowing kind of, I much prefer that to when I'm playing somewhere where I'm kind of a bit of background and it's not know it's not. And don't get me wrong, those gigs have to be done, but it's a very different thing when you've got that connection with the people who are there, even if it's just your mates. You know,
I think that, you know, your actual friends and family and people that maybe even friends that you don't see every day. You know, it's if you're doing a gig near them, it's an excuse to come out and have a night and come and see me or whatever. You know what I mean? So I love that. You know, and the other thing I love about it is going up and down the country and like, you know, especially my headline shows, you know, and I'm playing this tour I'm doing later on in the year is going to be so fun because it's very intimate. They're kind of smaller venues, like 400 cap.
Yeah.
And so I know I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to get on stage and I'll be like, I'm going to wave at people. It's, it's so nice to see so many familiar faces. Thank you for coming out again, you know, and we'll have a beer at the bar afterwards. Yeah. You know, it's all really quite nice.
It is great, Dan. I think that's what people now, I think with the explosion of social media over the past 20 years, what people really want and enjoy is having that that authentic experience with the artist. It's almost like, you know, I guess it's a completely different experience from I don't know, just to pick someone from, say, the 80s. The Jam are playing at the leisure centre or at the college in town. And, you know, you queue up, you go, you know, or even on the other side of it, Oasis are playing at Wembley. You're not going to bump into Noel at the bar, are you? No. You know, it's not gonna,
it's true. The bigger you get, the less chance you're going to get a chance to kind of hang out with your mates.
yeah, exactly. And I think this is I've kind of like for me, I don't enjoy going to stadium gigs as much anymore. You know,
no, I agree. You lose the intimacy. You know, as I actually do quite a lot of smaller gigs now, and it's actually really rewarding and quite nice. And sometimes sometimes I'll just stop the show and just do a little kind of questions and answer thing and just have a little chat.
That's nice.
You know, so it just makes it more personable. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still love doing the arenas and stuff like that. Like, obviously, when I'm playing with Blunty next month, I'm going to be all over Europe playing these amazing arenas, and it's just going to be great. But the great thing about that as well is I'm going to get out to all of these fabulous places where I haven't played for quite a long time, actually. And I might even, you know, find some of my old fans from years gone by, you know, that are coming out to see me and Blunty, of course, you know.
Yeah, of course. It's that's going to be one. I think a very for people coming to see yourself and James Blunt. That's going to be quite a very nostalgic gig for a lot of people, isn't it? You know,
yeah, totally. It's two, you know, two blokes that have a similar trajectory, and you know, it's like, I know he takes the piss out of himself on social media, which I absolutely love. Isn't he? He's brilliant, yeah, and I kind of do the same thing, to be honest. He talks about you know, he goes out and talks to people, and they're like, "Well, you've ever heard of James Blunt?" It's like, "No, I never heard of him." or he kind of says, "Yeah, you know, the one he's only got one song." Yeah, but I do very similar stuff, to be honest. So I think we're going to get on.
Story about Tony Hawk, the skateboarder, being at a check-in desk at an airport, and the bloke behind the car going, "You not look like Tony Hawk," and he was like, "Yeah," and he went, "Oh, and your name's Anthony Hawk. That's a
coincidence."
And he just went, "Yeah, it is, isn't it?" Just like
no, people. Honestly, those moments are gold for anyone that has any kind of fame. Those are the moments that are just worth every penny. You know, because it's hilarious, you know, or you get people that be like, you know, are you Chesney Hawkes? I'm like, yeah. And they said, no, you're not. I said, you're the one who bloody said it.
Yeah. I heard Rowan Atkinson, of all people, telling a story like that on like Graham Norton. He was telling a story about the guy. I was like, oh, you should do like Mr. Bean lookalike work. And he was like,
but I am Mr. Bean.
Exactly. Like, why would I do
No,
that?
I've had people like with moments like that. I've actually had people say, well, prove it then. You know, I was like, I don't owe it to you.
No,
I don't
no,
owe you that.
absolutely not.
And I don't have my passport with me.
No,
But you know,
and
if
even
I
if I did, I
did,
wouldn't show you because it's like
exactly,
none of your.
doesn't really matter, does
No,
it?
no, that's hilarious. That's really
Yeah.
funny. I mean, with your looking just sort of what you've got coming up next. You've had some releases recently. Are you back in the studio at all this
Yeah,
year as well?
yeah. I'm actually here right now. So, funny
No,
enough,
that's your
this is
studio,
my
yeah.
studio.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll
fantastic.
give you a little bit of a. I
Oh,
mean, got it
fantastic.
totally clean there.
Yeah.
Total fucking mess over
Wow.
here, and like there we go.
You got
Guitars
some gear
everywhere.
around, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
mate.
you're a pedal
Over.
fiend like me. Good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, that's my son's pedal board.
That's a V.
That's
That's
in.
a V twin, isn't it? A Mitsubishi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ah, yeah, I got one of those.
He loves that, and he's just got that Ibanez tube screamer down there as well,
Yeah, oh,
which
they're
he's
nice.
in love with at the moment. And then you got the old Vox over there.
Oh,
So
AC30, nice,
yeah, yeah. So I mean,
nice.
and behind all that kind of curtain stuff is a whole load of amps. So,
Yeah,
so
I get it all the time from my wife. Where it's like if I'm looking at a new guitar, she's like, "You've got seven," and then I remind her of us getting her piano in the lift to go up to the flat and go. I will never ever take any criticism about how many guitars I've got again. She'll listen to this now as well. So
hello, wifey.
hello, Lizzie. Yeah, but
Hi,
with
Lizzie.
with your music, of course, you know you've been around. You've had a career that's, I guess, at a point where long enough that the music will definitely have evolved and changed, and your approach would have changed over that time. Can you talk us through that a little bit? Just the change in your approach and the sort of songs that you write.
Yeah, sure. I think that my basic sensibilities as far as my musical taste with what I write hasn't really changed that much since I was a kid. You know, I grew up with Beatles, Elvis Costello, Stevie Wonder, you know, the Kinks, those kind of bands. Anything with a great melody is like, ugh, you know, it does me in. So, so I think my actual approach hasn't changed a hell of a lot. I still sit down with a guitar or a piano and just bash it out, you know.
Yeah.
Lyrically, things have changed a bit because, you know, I mean, as life goes on and you kind of, I wouldn't say grow up, but you grow, shall we say,
Sure.
in certain ways. And you know, I think you can. I think I'm a little bit more deeper these days with some of my lyrics, just because of everything that's happened to me. I'm
Yeah,
kind
of
of
course.
I'm in that stage at the moment. It's all very cathartic. All songs are a bit cathartic right now. They're like my therapy, you know.
Yeah.
But basically, not really changed that much. I mean, on this particular record, I worked with Jake Gosling.
Yeah.
He's a A-list producer.
Of course.
He's
Yeah.
worked with Ed Sheeran and Lady Gaga and One Direction. Nobody big, of course, and little old me, you know. And so Jake kind of he kind of like pulled me into the 21st century a little bit. Like he started like adding some kind of real fresh kind of contemporary elements into the production, which I absolutely loved. And you know, he got me rapping at one point, don't you?
Really?
Yeah, it's
I did
ridiculous.
not expect you to say
I
that.
know, I know. I'm not sure how much of it made it onto the record, but you know, it was pushing me out of my comfort zone,
Yeah, oh,
and
yeah.
really, and the results were actually really fun and kind of they just made it a little bit joyful and a bit. You know, I know it sounds like it would be the worst thing ever. Chesney Hawkes rapping, yeah. Remind me not to pick
No,
that
I
one up.
actually do want to hear that. I'm actually really interested.
Well, you'll have to pick up the album
I
when
will, I
it comes
certainly
out.
will.
28th of May, it's out. Or you can
28th of
pre-order it
May.
now. You can pre-order it now on chesneyhawks.com.
Excellent. I've always put links to people's what they've got going on in descriptions as well. So, guys, if you're
Yeah.
listening, you can head in the description now and click over to the pre-order.
Fantastic. Come and see me
Fantastic.
on the road. Come and get the album. Yes.
Lovely. Yeah. I mean, talking about on the road, that's something I need to speak to you about. And listeners are going to get so pissed off when we talking about fucking West Ham as much as I do. But that's how this has come about is we got mutual friends in Dave Walker, an ex-WHU employee,
of course.
who you know kindly passed your details on to me, and you know, I really wanted to speak to you about it. I couldn't get out to Prague, but playing in that fan zone, that for me as a West Ham fan, that is like the dream gig. What was that like?
It was the ultimate gig. I mean, my brother's my drummer, and my son, we're all, you know, proper manic hammers. So just to be invited was one thing, but to be on stage in our West Ham kits on the day of the final, and we played in front of 30,000, sea of claret and blue and bubbles and confetti, and then everyone was going crazy. As you can imagine, it was
Yeah.
like, beer flying all everywhere, and it was. We pulled out all the West Ham classics. We did Bubbles, we did Massive,
Yeah.
we did all of the ones that you'd expect. We even did Bowens on Fire.
Yeah.
And, and then I did, because it was obviously just before Rice left, and I even did a little version of "Please Don't Go." Got them all singing that.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I had my best mate there, Vic, who's sadly recently just passed, but
I'm sorry.
he was there, and I wanted him there with his son, because him and I have been West Ham our whole lives, and I wanted him there for that moment with his boy, and I got him on stage. Vic came out on stage, and I introduced him. I said, "This is my mate Vic. He's had some health issues recently. I want you guys to give him some love, And he walked out on stage, and he had a "fuck cancer" t-shirt on, and he basically led the crowd in "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles." And honestly, it was just the most unbelievable hair in the back of the neck moment, just to have him there, like
Mm.
right at the front singing and stuff. And then he gave a big bow, and all the crowd had given him love, and it was just the best. And he came up and gave me a cuddle, and then he started walking off stage. And I was like, "Victor, everyone." And the crowd was like just having such fun with it. And then he almost got off stage, and he stopped, and I was like, "Oh, what's he doing?" And he turned around and he went, and he walked up to me, and all the crowd kind of went quiet, like, "Oh, what's he going to do? What's he going to do?" And he walked up to my microphone, and he goes, "I ate Tottenham more than I ate cancer," and he walked off.
A sentiment we can all agree with.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, it is great working with the fan. I know we're biased, but it's such a great fan base to work with. I do some music at the pre-match events, and that's sort of how I've gotten to know the guys. And
What, with Dave and X?
yeah.
So you will have met my boy. He was at the James Tompkins one the other day. I don't know if you were
do you
there.
know what? That's the one I couldn't do. So I
Right.
wouldn't have met it. I wouldn't have done. But if you come down, let us someone let us know, because we'll be great to see you. But yeah, I do. There are the odd one I can't do, because I also work with my local club, and do pre-match stuff for them as well.
Oh, nice. Good for you.
So I've got it's a good gig at Crawley. So that sometimes there's clashes, and yeah, it doesn't always work out. But I do the majority of them. And working with Martin Allen's just an experience like
Yeah, the
no
best.
other. He's absolutely mental.
Yeah, he's a
He's
classic.
great.
But then so are Dave and X.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Dave in particular.
Yeah, they are great. They are hilarious. Actually,
Oh,
last
I love them both. I
I
love them
do.
so much. They're
They're,
brilliant.
they're such nice blokes, and funny enough, at the last one we went to, it was with Hayden Mullins, and it was my dad's birthday, and
Right.
Dad was like, "Don't tell him it's my birthday. Don't tell him it's my birthday."
Of course you got
So we
to.
did. Before he knows it, he's my dad. Bless him. He's only 5'6", and he's got Martin Allen shouting out, "Oi, midget, get up here!" and
Oh, Jesus
getting him singing
Christ.
Bubbles on the stage in front of everybody in the colour factory, which was the dad loved. He found it hilarious. But
That's
yeah,
so good.
it is a good experience. So I guess moving on. From that point, you've moved you've moved back to the UK from the States recently. Is that right?
Yeah. I was in California for the last 12 years.
Wow.
So yeah, I know it's mad. So no, we're now back in the UK, and nobody told me the weather was shit over here. But
No, no, exactly. Yeah, it's
what
been
have I
mental the
done?
last few
What
days
have
as
I
well.
done?
Yeah,
No, it's been terrible, isn't it?
I mean, it's obviously
Uh,
a lot going on out in California at the moment, which is for
yeah.
the people
No,
affected by that.
it's terrifying over there, and there's so many people that I know that have lost homes, and yeah, it's mad, and it's still going on. I mean, they've subsided, thank God, a little bit, but then there's other ones coming up now. But it's hard being so far away. It's hard to imagine how the depth of this tragedy. There's
Mm.
there's literally whole communities where it's just gone. It's
Yeah,
completely and utterly gone. So these people are grieving not only for their own belongings and their house and their life that they had there. They're also grieving for all of the people in the community that were around them,
Yeah.
and that where that, it's like, can you imagine, like, just on an average day, you get up, you take the dogs for a walk, you say hello to your neighbor, blah blah blah, and all that kind of everything. Go take your kids to school. Everything's gone. Everything. So, and these people, a lot of them will not get any kind of compensation,
No.
back to be able to restart their life. So it's just terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
Unthinkable.
It's so horrible, and you're seeing it. You can't. I'm someone who sounds really bad. I actively avoid the news unless I'm in the mood that's good enough to take it in. If that makes sense. You see what I mean? I don't bury my head in the sand, but I pick my moments. But there's no getting away from that story. It's everywhere
so
you look,
awful.
and it is. It is sad. I mean, on that, when you sort of, I guess from your move back, what was it that brought that move back around?
I think it was just time, to be honest, Charlie. I missed West Ham too much.
Yeah.
I just, I missed England. I missed this land, and they don't know how to do beer over there either.
No,
so
they don't, do they?
Nah,
No,
not really.
they really don't.
too hoppy.
Yeah,
so, so I want, there's that. I got family, obviously lots of family here. It was just time. My parents are getting older too.
Sure.
I also wanted to be here in the country when I released this record. So that was really important to me, and I wanted to be here 100% because I need to be able to get up and down the country to, to tour, to do in stores or whatever it is that I'm going to be doing. So yeah, there's a number of reasons really.
No, fantastic. Yeah, and with you mentioned briefly earlier on about some stuff you listen to, anything with a melody, of course Costello and the Beatles and people like that. And what were your sort of, I think everyone's got that one person that when you're a kid or in your sort of mid-teens and you start taking music seriously. So for me, it's Johnny Marr. And like everyone's got that one person.
Yeah.
Was there one for you?
Yeah, funnily enough, mine was Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he came, he broke massive. Obviously he had other records before this, but in 1984 when Purple Rain came out. So I was like, very impressionable kind of 13-year-old, and I just fell in love with that record. And then went back and started listening to his previous albums that went right back to like 1979, with his first record, and just fell in love with everything that he ever did, and I also loved him as a just how he held himself, and like the mystique of the man, that he was a proper star.
He was an enigma, wasn't he?
He was an enigma, and
I
like
Chris
that.
Eubank of the music world. You just couldn't figure him out.
Don't get it. But then, to me, I like my musical influences like that to be that, though, that kind of mysterious. You don't really know what's going on with them. It's like nowadays, what Harry Styles is having for breakfast because he's put it on Twitter or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's like, and that's nothing against Harry Styles. I think he's great, but I loved that time, and that's another, we're going back to like talking about those days, and that's something that I miss, actually, that kind of like when a star was a star. You didn't know what was going on. The only way that you found out about what's happening in their lives is reading the liner notes. Even those, and Prince never gave interviews really.
No, he was famous for it. He was a notoriously difficult man to work with, wasn't he?
Yeah.
From the stories, and
totally, yeah.
There's been a fly on the wall for some of those recording sessions,
And that's why I've met people that have worked with him over the years, and I'm like, God, tell me everything, what was it like, and it's all the stories are exactly what you want, exactly what you would hope,
Yeah. Do you know, I had a similar thing recently with another mutual friend, Smiley Bernard, who's been on this show. He's a great guy, and we were talking about when he played with Joe Strummer and the Stranglers and that kind of thing, and being so into that era of music, like punk, ska, the indie stuff from that time. I was just on this show, just soaking it up. Just like, I didn't want him to leave.
Smiley's got some stories. I've known Smiley since we were kids. I don't know if you told me that.
Yeah, he,
Yeah.
he did. Another sort of mutual friend, someone else on this show, he produces some friends of mine, Slow Time Mondays, who are a fantastic band. And
Yeah.
Ryan, the bass player, weirdly, I was in a band with him, but I was actually his guitar teacher before that. I kind of conscripted him into the band.
Yeah.
And he was telling me that I think this is right, when he went for his audition to play with Robbie Williams, he was dog sitting for you, he said.
Oh my God, is that
Yeah.
right? Right. Is that right? That's so
Apparently, that's what
funny.
that's what Ryan told me.
I mean,
Anyway,
it's possible. Oh yeah, I guess so.
apparently
It was a long time ago.
apparently the line was, well, yeah, I can come at 3 o'clock, but can I bring Chesney Hawkes' dog with me? Which is just such a bizarre sentence, isn't it? When you think about it.
Is that a true story?
Apparently so. I mean, I've not heard that from Smiley. That's a third-hand story. I just thought that was a funny story. I just wanted to ask you if you remembered it. But you clearly
it's
don't.
absolutely no. I clearly don't remember that at all. But it is hugely possible because I've always been a dog lover and always had a dog, and of course I know so many people and met Ryan, obviously. But it's possible. Yeah, yeah. That is crazy. I want to know now. I want to know if that was real.
Yeah, maybe shoot Smiley a text or something. Just check if that is the case.
Yeah.
If he goes no, then Ryan's dreamt it.
So good.
That's what. Yeah, it's funny though with the people around the network that you can get through being into music and being open and meeting people and taking the opportunities to do gigs with different people. You really meet some incredible characters, don't you?
Oh yeah. I mean, this business is built on the characters that you meet along the way. It's funny because you're absolutely right. It's like you should talk. Well, you can't really now. My dad's not well enough now, but I was going to say you should talk to my dad because he has the stories of all stories about people that he's toured with over the years, like Keith Moon and Ray Davis and Beatles and I mean The Who and just the stories are phenomenal and it's all about the characters. He told me this story that I love it, because I get into it with my dad sometimes because he'll tell a story and I'm like, why have I not heard this story, Dad? Carry on. Like he did one the other day and he was talking about Keith Moon and he said, oh yeah, we did a tour with The Who once and Keith was like, every time he turned up at the sound checks or whatever, he had like a full top hat, tweed like 3-piece suit on and he'd have a bag, like a briefcase or something. And he said he'd bring it into the dressing room and he'd go, here you are, lads. And he'd just open it up and it'd be like full of drugs and drink and help yourself, lads, go on. I'm like, Dad, this is brilliant. This
is the most Keith Moon thing I've ever heard.
I know. He said one time he turned up with the top hat and he had a monocle. No reason. Okay. No reason, just there. And like an umbrella in one hand and, a briefcase of drugs in the other.
That's incredible. That's like a bit like in a way that... Dave Davis story where they couldn't find him for a gig and he turned up 10 minutes where they meant to go on in a dress and had no idea where he'd been night before. I just woke up in the cupboard in this dress. I have no idea where my suit is.
But that's just classic.
Yeah, he's like somewhere in Wigan. There's a woman running around in a Lambretta suit. But this is what I'm wearing today.
Dad told me another story about that. He broke up a fight on stage between Ray and Dave while they were literally on stage.
Really?
He came, because they were like on the same bill. And they just started fighting on stage, and they're like literally going to fisticuffs on stage. And Dad ran up stage, and and one of the other tremolos was grabbing the other one, and they were like pulling him apart on stage.
Unbelievable. I mean, you said about your dad there. So that must have been a real. Actually, I don't know. Would it with your dad having the profile he had and being so into music? Did it make it a real natural path that just happened, or was it even a bit like, oh, this is just what we do and it was the norm? What was the kind of feeling around that as a family? Because I'm not from a musical family, so I have no idea what that's like.
Right. Yeah. I mean, growing up in that kind of environment, kind of like what it is here at our house, you soak it up, don't you? So I always wanted to do this. I always wanted to be a singer. Mm-hmm. My dad always says that I came out singing. It's just one of those things. I never had any other dream. And I don't know if that is nurture or nature or both. Who knows? But I think, listen, my brother's my drummer. My sister's a singer. Well, we were never going to become accountants in that household, you know.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I think my dad would have loved for me being a footballer. I've got two left feet, so that was never happening.
Me too. Me
Yeah,
too.
it was just never going to happen. But I think like anyone, I've not got kids myself, but certainly my experience of my parents is you do what you do as long as you're happy and you can look after yourself. Then
Yeah.
that's enough, isn't it? You know?
Oh, of course it is. And I say that to my kids all the time. It's like, whatever it is that you are passionate about, then follow it. Because if you end up making that your work, then you never work a day in your whole life, you know.
No,
So,
no, no.
so if you enjoy what you do,
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I spent after my sort of my band that did okay. You know, we
yeah,
we,
yeah.
we, we weren't signed or we all had day jobs. After that split up, I think I convinced myself I needed to make a go of it in a corporate job. Did that for 8 years, hated every second of it, and now I'm just gigging and doing guitar lessons. That's where I've literally just come from with school doing guitar lessons, and it's great, love it. It's
Yeah,
getting
that's
work with
brilliant.
absolutely hilarious kids that come out with stuff every day that make me crack up because they, and
I
they
love
don't
it.
know they're funny. You know, they have no idea what they've just said to them. Like the funniest thing I've heard that day.
Yeah.
It's in the and that's great. And you've been in a position where you've I guess though grafted from when you were in your teens to get that because it's the one thing people don't get is it's hard work working in music.
Yeah, yeah. You
You
don't
know,
you don't make it just like that.
no,
It's like you have to. It's like it's overnight success takes years.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
Years of graft. And I was playing gigs since I was like 13. So
yeah,
I had
wow,
bands, and I used to play piano in local pubs, and I did weddings and all sorts of things. But even as young as 15, just sit in the corner playing John Lennon and Elton John songs or whatever. So I really did put in like the hours before
mm,
that actually happened to me. And then I kind of went after that, after the kind of rise and the fall or whatever. Then I formed bands. I didn't want to do it as a solo artist. So like fuck that.
yeah.
So I formed bands, and I played all the crappy gigs, and no one knew it was me, and people like saying the wrong name, introducing us as the wrong name, and all that kind of stuff. And that's it. That's character building stuff.
Have you heard Dave Walker's story about being introduced with the wrong name?
No.
So he used to be be a house DJ in
Yeah,
the
yeah, of course.
90s. So he was DJ Pulse, and he turned up at this massive nightclub in Essex, and they had all the DJs' names up in lights behind them, and he's walked up and he was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! This is incredible!" And they put DJ Plus up on the screen.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
brilliant.
that is really. He's told that story on this show. He's told it on West Ham Way a few
Oh,
times.
mate.
But yeah, it's
I can't wait to the next time I see him. I'll be like DJ
oh
Plus.
yeah, honestly, yeah, he will crack up. He will crack up. But yeah, I'm aware that you are on a time constraint.
Yeah, what's the time?
So
Yeah.
yeah, just my last question for you because so many people, including myself, who will be listening, what you've done is it's the end goal for any of
Yeah.
the music listeners. When you had that moment of getting signed and that the one and only coming out, when did you realize like, oh, like this is it, this is the one?
Hmm. It was pretty quick, to be honest with you, Charlie, because within like a month of that record coming out, it actually started to stall. Like it got into, I think it was like number 70 or something like that. And then in the midweek that week, and it's a prediction to what's going to be on Sunday. Don't do that like that now. But back in those days, on the Thursday, you got the midweeks, which is a prediction, and it had gone right out of the top 100.
Okay.
So it was like a flop basically, and I didn't know. They didn't tell me this, but then we went off and did Little and Large,
Hmm.
the old Little and Large show,
Yeah.
and for some reason, it was the biggest show in the country, and it put me over the edge. And then it came into the top 40. And so then it all went crazy. So it was. I'll tell you when it was. It was when I was asked to do Top of the Pops,
Right. Yeah. Of
because
course.
I'm like, oh shit, oh
Yeah.
wow, I'm going to do like that's big, because that's like what I grew up watching, and you know, I never missed Top of the Pops. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, God,
It was
that's
like a
it.
ritual for people, wasn't it?
Oh,
That was
yeah.
like non-negotiable. That's what you do that day.
That's it, mate. Yeah. That and listening to the chart show on the Sunday.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
So probably that. Yeah, and there was another one where I was going back to those midweeks, and I think I was number 5 at the time, and the midweek was predicting that I was going to be number 1, and I was doing some TV show, and this girl band, I can't even bloody remember who it was. They were like, "Oh, where are you on the midweeks?" And I was like, 1, and they were like, "You're kidding me!" You know, it was like that moment of utter shock on their face, and I suddenly thought, wow, yeah, that is actually quite a big thing, isn't it? You know, it was like, oh wow. So that was a realization as well.
Amazing. That is great. Thank you so much. I know, as I say, I know that thank you so much for taking time out, essentially on a day when you're as busy as you are, because I know you've not got a lot of time. So I really appreciate it. If you want to give a quick plug of the record and the tour again.
Yeah, sure. I'm off on tour in Europe with James Blunt, so probably not a lot of your listeners will be coming out to Europe. But if you want, I'm also doing a headline tour myself later on in the year, and the album Living Arrows comes out on the 28th of March. It's now available for pre-sale and pre-order, so you can get that on chesneyhawkes.com. So, got a new single coming out next week. It's all going, mate. It's all going.
Fantastic, brilliant, lovely. Well, thank you so much. This has been great. I've really enjoyed it, and it's been a pleasure to meet you.
You too, Charlie. Take care. I'll see you at one of the pre-match events.
Yeah, definitely. We'll you'll come. You can't miss me. I'm literally outside playing to the queue. There's absolutely no way you'll miss me. So yeah, brilliant, nice one, brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much.
Yeah, cheers, Charlie.
Yeah, thank you. You've been listening to the Bandwagon Podcast with me, Charlie Cooper. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Bandwagon Pod, and follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music and Amazon Music to keep up with future shows.